be advised, the opinions and views of the hosts and guests do not reflect those of the station.
It's another beautiful Friday morning. We hope you are doing great. Welcome to the second season of Creative Business. You're watching the Business Portal, your gateway to business trends and opportunities. Today, big news and interesting events in this week's business arena. The good and the not in the mood. Electronics industry is getting stronger while the Philippine Airlines is gearing through yet another turbulence. Next, if you have been into vacation stuff or maybe tour or just wandering or soul searching, the guy who makes an island memorable to you, you may be taking his souvenirs back home. I will give you the exclusive insights of Island Souvenirs, J. Aldeguer. Also today, he's not really a French guy, but if you have seen somewhat bakery, but restaurant, but a place to relax, where there is a big sign called the French Baker, which I assume you have, you will have the taste of the founder's first days in business. Johnlu, founder of the popular French baker, is sharing his story. In my top 8, some well-coined, deeply researched, sure signs to tell you if you are an entrepreneur, can be entrepreneur or not. And finally, a company which we have perceived as a clothing company, in reality, it's not. We are keeping an eye on your business.
Live from the Global News Network studio in the Philippines, here's your business evangelist and host, Lloyd Luna.
Hello everyone, let's start the show with the good news. Philippine assembled electronics products grew in sales at their fastest pace on record as the country's overall exports continued to expand by double digits in June. National Statistics Office, NSO, reported that the country's merchandise trade shipments abroad increased by 33.4% in June last year. Amazing stuff we got in there. The June performance led exports to grow 37.7% to $23.711 billion in the first 6 months of the year. This is more than double the official growth forecast of 15% for the whole 2010. But we can only hope that such growth goes with its employment opportunities for Filipinos. The numbers should reflect new hires and additional jobs. Electronics, by the way, which accounted for 63.9% of the total export revenue, rose 49.1% to $2.904 billion month on month. Electronic shipments also increased by 13.7%. How is that? Separately, the semiconductor and electronics industries in the Philippines Incorporated said the June expansion was the highest growth rate recorded for the sector. I think, and I may be asking, is this the sign that we are now getting back on track? I gave a motivational talk for CP in the same month, August last year, when they were not as bullish 1 year later. Ernie Santiago, CP president, said we're trying to actually contact him, but for the meantime, he's not actually able to make it. But he said, and I'm putting up on screen, for the first 6 months of the year, Philippine electronics exports had been growing by 45.23% versus the same period last year. Another record high, he said. The surge of exports in June can be attributed to customers of Philippine-based companies who are building their inventory as the global economy recovers. But they're not in the mood. On Tuesday, Philippine Airlines, PAL, asked its flight attendants and stewards to reconsider a plan to hold a strike amid management efforts to bridge their differences. In a statement, PAL said, the company is sincere in addressing the Flight Attendants and Stewards Association of the Philippines concern. He said, let's find a peaceful solution to our internal problems for the sake of the flying public. That's according to Jaime Bautista, the PAL president. Now, I am going to roll the tape of what the official PAL statement actually said this week.
Philippine Airlines is preparing administrative sanctions against the 26 pilots who resigned and did not report for work at the expiration of the grace period given to them, which was from August 2 to 9 for them to return. The administrative sanctions is part and parcel of our internal rules and regulations. If they continue to snub the notices being sent to them to explain why they failed to report for flight duty, then these administrative sanctions will be carried out. What does this mean? When you talk about administrative sanctions, this means they will be deemed terminated from their jobs on record, on PAL records, no? Even if they are working with other foreign airlines, no, they shall be deemed terminated. So right now what is happening is that the administrative process is ongoing. So it is not sudden and instantaneous that they will be meted with sanctions right away. There will be a process that will be followed. Until such time that they continue to ignore such notices, then such sanctions in being labeled terminated will be undertaken. And the second move that HR and of course our legal department are mulling is the possibility of filing civil cases against them. The civil cases would focus on breach of contract, and under breach of contract we have two dimensions: violation of the 180-day notice that one is supposed to give his or her company, and the non-completion of 5 years service. We have not heard from them. They have not reached out to us nor sent any representative or emissary. But what we have heard is that these pilots are now employed with Asian carriers and Middle Eastern carriers.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, that's the statement. That's the official statement. But you know what? In this scenario, I'm sure about one thing.